Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.
Hello, this is Women Up Radio, supporting Empower Women. And today we're talking about women's empowerment through entrepreneurship. So different countries' visions, business ecosystems, and particularly the documentary that our guests are making about this. So I'm joined in the studio by my guests Fernanda Moura and Taciana Mello, the girls on the road. They're now inspiration seekers, but not so long ago they worked in companies like Deloitte and PwC. They're both passionate about entrepreneurship and innovation, and this led them to create the Founders Project. Currently, they're traveling the world interviewing and learning about women entrepreneurs' stories and their ecosystem. So, welcome to the program, Fernanda and Taciana.
Hello, Anna. Thank you for having us. Good morning. I'm Fernanda.
Hi, Anna. Taciana here. Thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. So, can you tell us some more about how and why you changed paths? Because you were a lawyer, Fernanda, and Taciana, I think you were marketing and communications.
Yes.
And you've both changed into Girls on the Road and creating the Founders Project. So how and why did you do this?
Well, Anna, this is Taciana. Let me start sharing a little bit of our idea. Well, at some point, we decided, and it might sound corny, but it's absolutely the truth. We really wanted to do, something to try to give back. Mm-hmm. And, we were in a very entrepreneurial region in the US, in California, near to Silicon Valley. And we wouldn't see as many women as founders of companies as men. And it really shocked us in that particular area of the world. And we started researching, and we learned that one of the reasons that women do not engage as much as in entrepreneurship is because there's a lack of role models. They do not see other women doing it. So they really believe that's a purely male activity, which is a lie, which is a pity. And so we decided to act upon it and, go around the world and tell these stories, learn about these stories, and share with other women.
Fernanda, for you, was it something similar?
Yes, and I think that environment that we were in, it's very vibrant, and it pushes you to, think of things differently and, making changes in your career. We were there working like it. I was doing like pro bono consulting and learning other things as well. And when we got to, entrepreneurship and going to so many events, it's like this spark on me of, this would be so awesome. Go and find out about this, all the women's that are the women that are like being entrepreneur, and we don't see as much as role models.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea because, you're over the other side of the pond. I'm here in Europe, but it's exactly the same here. There are so few women that really think they can do everything, and it seems to be much more complicated. So I think it's wonderful. But tell me more about the Founders Project. Really, what is it and how does it work?
Okay, so our idea was to bring the more diversity possible. So we have pretty much no rule in terms of how we're going to find our entrepreneurs. So they can come from a very diverse background, any type of business, age. Of course, for us, the only restraint was that because we don't speak every single language in the world, unfortunately, people would have to speak Portuguese, Spanish, or English. And we make sure that we want to bring like tech business, traditional business, and social organization as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very relaxed also interview in terms that we want to get inspiration from them, but also have their, practical steps to be able to share with other wannabe entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And there's another aspect that's, of course, also important because we are not interviewing those very, very, successful entrepreneurs, and they have a huge place in history, of course. But we really wanted to talk about, this day-to-day women that started the business. They are, between 3 and 5 years old of running the business. Yeah. They're pretty much still in the beginning, but they have history. They have experiences to share of other women that are starting their journey. So that's a very important aspect.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so why do you think women's entrepreneurship is such an important and a successful way to help women become empowered?
Of course, like the first thing that we would say about empowering women to entrepreneurship, because they wouldn't be able, first feel fulfilled what they want to do, happy about the work that they do, and have like the economic support as well, as they are making money and they are going to be able to have more of a say in their lives. And I think this is the primary thing. And when you're also like building something that is your own company, your idea, you feel very powerful, like the way that you are capable of doing anything as long as you put your effort on it.
And I know you've been to many different countries already. What countries have you been to?
Oh my God, it's a long list.
Yes. Ready?
Start with which continents have you been to?
Every single one except from Africa, because we're going to finish the project there. So pretty much we were starting in the US where we were living. So Canada, Mexico, and then we move on to Asia. 5 countries in Asia. Yeah, Canada. 5 countries in Asia. Then Australia, New Zealand, South America, Latin America, Europe. Now we are in the Middle East, and we finish in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just going to add, the list of countries, it wasn't like cherry picking, like I wanted to go to this country because I want to visit that place. No, absolutely not. I think it's important to say that as well.
Yeah.
Because when we pick the countries, and of course we pick them based on reports, because we really want to show diversity in terms of regions and countries, because being an entrepreneur in the US is absolutely different than being an entrepreneur in Cuba, in Brazil or Japan or Australia. Yeah. So we really want to show different environments regarding, of course, the economic environment, the position of women, the level of support that they can have in that context. So it's really important to say that, because also we want to show the diversity also in terms of countries.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what have you seen? What differences? How do these countries view women? And how do they view entrepreneurship differently? Because I'm sure, like you said, you're now sort of Silicon Valley area. They must have a completely different attitude to, the Middle East, which is normally women don't get much opportunity for having businesses or empowerment. Do you find that the general idea and mentality in countries makes a big difference on who can succeed and who can't?
And what we found is it's not like a mentality of the women, but the ecosystem, like how supportive and how much resource it can offer the women. Because let's say, and especially because you mentioned Middle East, we just finished our interview here in Lebanon.
Yeah. And
on the contrary of all the stereotypes that we have, right? On terms of Middle East, they're going to be like shy about like being bold and outspoken. It was completely different. We found like amazing women, very empowered, building their business in tech and traditional business. The ecosystem, of course, Lebanon went through like 15 years of war and then another war. It's being like rebuilt and increasing more resources. So internet here is still a problem. They have an infrastructure problem, also like electricity, but the women are very strong,
yes.
very focused on, build their business and expand. And especially because Lebanon is such a small country, they have to think globally since the beginning. So what we found is it's not as much as in terms of how the women think, because they are very strong and, focused and very entrepreneurial in every single country that we visit. Yes. But the way is how the country can provide the ecosystem necessary to growth.
And so what type of businesses are your interviewees starting up?
Well, we are interviewing every kind of entrepreneur. It doesn't matter if the one that, just opened a bakery a couple of years ago, or the one who's building a tech company running already making millions. So again, we really wanted to show the diversity in terms of types of business as well. So we've been meeting women doing, the most different types of things, many in tech. I think that's one thing that we really have to stress out. There are amazing women doing, dealing with virtual reality, augmented reality, biotech. I mean, really women are really in tech, and we have to show that as they are in social enterprises, as they are in more traditional business. I think one of the major misconceptions is that, women businesses are only in a few number of industries, but that has been changing, and we've been seeing that, and we have to talk about this, to impact other women, to inspire girls to really believe that they can really be a scientist and build, a company if they want to. And so that's why it's so important to show the variety of business that these women are building.
And let's say, like, for examples.
Yeah.
So interview a woman from Duoni. It's a platform for content for women in the Arabic world. So she was working in France from, in terms of digital media, and she realized that, but she's Lebanese, but she realized that there's a lack of content and in many different verticals for women for the Arabic world. So she started by building content in terms of fashion and cooking and variety. And now she has one of the largest audience in Arabic countries. And she was recently acquired by a big media company in France. But she's still in charge of expanding the operations. She's sold a big chunk of her company, but it's still in the daily life. Another one here from Lebanon, she also started a company called MyKey, very tech oriented. So you can access any platform online, Facebook, Airbnb, that you need a password through the fingerprint. Yes. So it has an application through your cell phone that you can connect and disconnect to any platform that you're logged in online. Just with the touch of your finger. And all the information is stored in your device, not in the cloud, for more security.
Yes. Oh, it sounds amazing. So with those examples that you've given for Lebanon, I know recently you were in Russia, and before that, I can't remember where you were, but I know I was. Are they very different because of the geographical area? Does that make a difference as well, or not?
No, I think in Russia, what we could say, they also think of, building tech companies and traditional business. But the thing is, what we found particularly different in Russia, even though, although the women are very strong and they're very, in charge of what they want, when we were talking to them, very, very bold, but they kind of limit themselves. They think that when you start grow too much, there's then you are going to male
dominated world.
Oh, really?
We made a question. We asked a question that has nothing to do with the product. Would you see a female president in Russia? And they were no, this is a man thing. A woman cannot be president because we need someone strong. Because they believe that strong comes much more from physical strength than
mental.
Being smart or being diplomatic or being anything that a president should be.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, but Russia was interesting also, and going back to your question, I mean, we haven't seen as many women in tech in Russia as we've seen in other countries. And another country that was really kind of surprising in terms of not many women in tech, as we suppose we would find, was Germany.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, and they really realized that they have the digital, what they call the digital gap in Germany is really high. They want to act really strongly on that to change the situation. So we interviewed the director, for example, the director of one of the largest organizations for women entrepreneurs. Yeah. And they know they have an issue with that, and they have to act upon it. I'm not saying that we don't have women in tech in Germany. We do, of course, they do, but not as many as they would like, and certainly not as many as we thought we would find. So it's interesting because you have Germany, this one of the largest economy in the world, very potent, and you're there, and there's this misconceptions that start to be disconstructed. So it's really interesting.
And the ecosystem is very vibrant, and of course there are lots of tech companies, but led by men.
Oh, how strange! I wouldn't have expected that at all.
For us it was kind of a shocking experience as well. Yes.
Because you imagine, and also particularly because they're very sort of mechanical and very efficient and things like that. You'd expect them to be, well, leaders, really.
But you know what we found interesting, because of course they have like a stable economy, and the women are used to more like, once they get married, they say, like, some women told us, like, there is this mentality that when women get married, they take care of the family primarily.
Yes.
And when they think about like coming back to work, it's much more like a part-time thing than, you know, going full-time. So there's also this effort from the government to see if they can bring women full-time again, because of course they need like everybody in the economy to make the country grow, but even more. But they have this issue, because it's not like they need like to really work full-time, and it's a different type of economy, right? Like if you let's say our country, Brazil, it's not like many families, you cannot afford just having one person working, or have one part-time, because otherwise you'll not be able to have a comfortable life.
Yeah. When I was, when I had my kids in the UK, and I went back to work I don't know when the youngest was, about a year old or something like that, or 15 months old, I think she was. And at the time, I didn't financially need to, because my husband, he earned enough money that, I didn't have to. I wasn't desperate for money, but I wanted to. And I couldn't, the idea of just staying at home and doing nothing, I think I would have been a much worse mum, because I would have been frustrated. So for me, I just wanted to go out and use my brain. So it always surprises me when you get a country where a lot of women who don't go back to work because financially they don't need to, because maybe I've got a utopic dream that you should enjoy your work, so you want to do it, but I don't know, I like having the choice of being able to do it. So I know, carrying on with the different countries and the different attitudes, because it's very interesting what you said about Russia and also about Germany. What did you find in Asia? And which countries in Asia did you go to? I mean, did you go to sort of Japan or Thailand or any of those type of countries?
Yeah, in Asia we went to Japan, China, Malaysia, Singapore,
South Korea.
Really? Okay, and what was their attitude?
It's very diverse in terms, because let's say you cannot compare Japan with China. They're completely the opposite attitude. When we went to Japan, and one would think like it's a rich country as well. Women are extremely educated, like they all masters, undergrad. It's like education is not a problem at all.
Yeah.
So they have a society that women has this role as a mother and as a married, person. That is like, if you get married and you have children, you're done for business. So there's like a huge pressure on the women to just quit everything. And if doesn't do that, it's like you were a bad mom. We heard that, and for us was shocking when we asked them, so you have a business, how is it? Like, oh, I have my business, but I know I'm a bad mother. And then we're like, okay, how so? Oh, because I don't have the chance to give 100% to my family. And we would ask, like, and what does your husband do? Oh, he's an entrepreneur as well. So he's not a bad father? No.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, Anna, because we know that social pressures, they are everywhere, right? In every single country, of course, because they are very attached to women roles in society, still to this date.
Yeah.
But what really surprised us, and I would say shocked us in Japan, is the level of pressure that they have to face in a daily life. So to give you an example, when a woman, leaves to have their kids, it's very rare, the ones that want to go back to their companies, it's very rare that the company will take them back.
Oh, really?
Yes, and when they do, you might have left as a director and you will then work when you come back as an assistant. So there's no stability regarding your position, your past position. And they do, and the environment is really hostile in order to kind of expel these women from that environment, because they truly believe that you will not be able to work with the same dedication and commitment as you have before having kids and becoming a mother. So they feel like trapped. And that's why one of the reasons that many start to, their own businesses, to be active again, to build something, to put all their knowledge into practice to help other women.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting situation. And Japan certainly surprised us regarding this issue.
But then you have China. And then even like when we were interviewing Japan, they were saying, like when you get into China, it's going to be a completely different game. You're going to see they're extremely empowered and strong, like outspoken. And of course, here we have to do like a note. Of course, we are interviewing the big cities and not the countryside. So of course, if you go to the countryside in any country, like you can go in the countryside in Russia, in China, and in Japan, in Brazil, would be a completely different profile from what we're interviewing. But in China, when we got there, they were, especially the age group that was mostly interviewed was the from the policy of the one child.
Yes.
So they were very empowered because, like, first they were already in a good position that they made it through, this role. They were allowed to born. And they have all the resources, like the family, because what they say in China, you have this 1, 2, 4 pyramid. Like the child will be able to provide for the parents and grandparents when they grow and start working. Yeah. So the family put all the effort, like all the money, all resources to make this child to win in life, in business.
Yeah. So
they were like, no, we want to do this company. We're going to expand to that part. And they were like very bold and like, the very stereotype that we think when we think about a man entrepreneur would be the Chinese women.
It's interesting. Interesting. I know one of my clients who's in logistics, he asked me about the cultural differences with countries, etc., because he was having some visitors coming over from China, and the people that came over, it was all women. And they were the key decision makers. Okay, they weren't entrepreneurs. It was in a company. It was all women, and they were key decision makers. And for them, it was completely normal. But for him, this guy is very, very open-minded, very supportive of women's equality. He's not your macho chauvinist. He's really he's a nice guy. And he was surprised because with logistics, and large corporations, still, normally, it tends to be a male-dominated sector.
Yeah.
But he said everybody that he was speaking to in China, there were either more women or equal women. And he thought that it was very interesting compared to some of the countries in Europe, and also when you go over to the States and things like that. So it's very interesting, China.
Yes. And if you didn't go, you should.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to. Well, I'd love to go to all of the places you've been to. I'm so jealous. Right?
You are listening to Anna Letitia Cook at Women Up Radio.
Can we talk a bit about the business ecosystems? What ones are available today, and how do these impact your women entrepreneurs?
Well, it's good to learn, and we've been learning a lot. And I would say pretty much every country that we passed, interviewed, governments and organizations and civil society are really organizing themselves to support women entrepreneurs. I think it's really important. Some countries more than others, of course. Some really embrace women entrepreneurship. They really want more women in the economy, building business, helping to make it grow. So countries for Singapore, and of course the US and Germany and Norway.
Nice.
Norway, for example, was an interesting story because Norway has one of the lowest entrepreneurship levels in the world.
Really?
Men and women, yes, because they have, of course, a very well-developed country. Their welfare system is amazing. They have amazing social programs. Yeah. So, in fact, at the end of the day, they do not have as much incentive to become entrepreneurs unless they have this crazy, amazing idea, because they have a very comfortable life. And they know that, and they are very outspoken about that. It is they are very spoiled. But the government realized, the country as a whole, that they have to diversify. They cannot rely only on oil, for example, or maritime industry. They have to have different industries to allow the country to keep growing. And they are investing huge tons of money in really building a vibrant and mature entrepreneurial ecosystem to attract more women. And they are very, they have a target. We want to reach like 30% in the next, maybe 4 or 5 years of women among entrepreneurs. Yeah. So they're very focused. And there are other countries who are doing that because they realize that it's not only the right thing to do, to embrace these women, to give them the opportunity to build their business, because it's also an economic issue.
Yes.
We need more women in our economies to help the global to continue to grow. Otherwise, we will not make it.
Yeah.
And then for us also, it was a big surprise. We have been away from Brazil for the past 4 to 5 years. Yeah. So, and of course, when we left Brazil, we were not engaged in entrepreneurship. We were working in the business, but large corporations. So it was very cool when we came back and we saw what we were seeing in other countries. We also saw in Brazil. Many organizations tech business, traditional business, very empowered women, and you actually have a very high number of women comparing to men. It's in terms of new business, I believe it's more women than men open business.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. And in every single country, we've seen so many women supporting other women through organizations, to mentor, to fund other women. Yeah. So it's much more than a trend. It's real, and it's happening all over the world.
That's fabulous. Fabulous. And I know you've used Norway as an example and you've spoken about Brazil. Are there any particular countries or any sectors that give women more opportunities? Whether, for example, oil is traditionally male, but would you say that oil compared to media, compared to retail maybe, are any of those particularly advantageous for women entrepreneurs, or there's no specific sectors?
I think it's fair to say that to this day, women feel much more comfortable, starting the business in areas that are closer to them. I would say services or fashion or cosmetics and lifestyle businesses.
Yeah.
But that's one thing, and it's true, of course. But for example, with the internet age, e-commerce has become huge for women. The internet. Mm-hmm. So, and also we see more and more women engaging in technology, which is so important. Yeah. So, and of course, some industries, women still face much more hurdles, and technology fields are certainly, one of them.
Yeah.
They talked to us and they said that they were ostracized. For example, they had a hard time, many entrepreneurs, hiring people to their teams, building technology companies, because people would believe that they did not have the knowledge to lead them.
Really?
Yes. So one
example in China, the girl said that she at the beginning had a hard time to finding a guy to develop, a guy or a girl, of course, to develop the company. Yeah. And all the coding at the beginning of the company, that she was the one who did it, because that she would hire and they wouldn't respect her because she was a woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, and then we saw a lot of women in tech in China. Mm. And also we see that there are some of the countries that we visit, there are programs targeting to educated women in terms of technological aspects of the business. Yes. But also a boot camp that we interview in Canada. Out of 20 to 25 companies, they are pretty much very tech oriented. Yeah. And also in not only Tassi said, in fashion or cosmetics, in virtual reality, in things related to learning for the brain learning from people with Alzheimer, let's say.
Yeah.
So it was very what you would expect, stereotypically speaking, from a male-led company.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. So, and what do you think can be done to improve the options for women entrepreneurs? I mean, from everything you've seen, you must have a great view of where the key areas or the key actions are that could help them.
Well, I would say that first thing that's really clear for us is we have to tell these stories. We have to show what these women are doing around the world. We cannot believe, well, the gender gap, it is here. We cannot deny that, of course. Yeah. But one of the ways to really impact and change the situation is really to show these stories. Is, as I mentioned earlier, is to share with other women and men what women are doing around the world in so many areas, really challenging the status quo, really going above and beyond, because the challenges will always be there. Of course, we have to keep working to overcome and eventually make them disappear. But the message that we want to convey is, despite of it all, women are doing it. Yes. And we have to talk about this more and more so we change hearts and minds and really, change the attitude, because cultural and social aspects are huge hurdles, and, it really takes time to change them. So that's one thing I would say, keep telling about these stories, showing these role models.
Yeah. Another thing also, and I think it's like, of course we cannot deny there is a gap, but also we have to somehow make these women step up more. Yes. Because we heard in every single country that sometimes the resources are there, the opportunities are there, but then when they open to for men and women to show up and to take advantage of some programs, women ended up showing in less number.
Yes.
They're always oh, I'm not capable, I don't know if I can. So we have also our share of responsibility to showing up to the start line.
Yes, yeah. I think different mental attitude. Men always say, yes, I can do it, even if they've got no idea. Women are much more honest and tend to underrate themselves rather than accepting that they've got the capability. But okay.
That's a beautiful thing, because we've had interviewing so many women that they said, I had no idea about the topic.
Yes.
About the industry, about the business, but I did it because I believed in my idea. I searched for support. I went there and I learned and I started it.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a key, a very important message to really convey. You started it. Believe in yourself and really do it.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so I know you're producing a documentary at the end of your travels. So tell us about the documentary.
Okay, so the document, of course, we're going to have lots of, stories to share. Our idea is to have a full documentary of 1 hour and a half or so. Yeah. And we wanted to pinpoint great stories for each country that we visit, and giving also a context for, these women. And our idea is to do in we know that there's tons of challenges and, but we really wanted to give a positive message that doesn't matter what is going on in each country, but women are doing it, and women are, making their companies and growing their companies, and they're sharing their stories. And they were very, very open to, tell good and bad things.
When do you think it will be available? Because you've got another continent to visit?
Yes. So we finished the field work, the field interview in the end of October. And then how we're going to afterwards start going through the material and making sense of everything. And we have the support of production company in Brazil who's going to do all the technical support, editing and post-production. So we're aiming to have this ready around April next year.
Oh, fabulous. And will it be available everywhere, or will it be just Brazilian television? And what language will it be in?
No, our idea is to be able to have the largest platform ever. We're going to try to put in Netflix and Amazon. We are now, because we are self-funding our project, so we are trying to work with the Brazilian brands and to have sponsors for also companies that can have a large platform to stream the content.
We want to have a global reach. I mean, because I'm sure that a woman in Cuba may be inspired by a story of a woman in China, for example. And we have to show this. So we're going global. We have the documentary, and an hour and a half, we know already won't be enough to share all these stories. That's why we're already thinking about a web series, because we have such a very strong and powerful content that we want to really share this with the world, with other women, with girls.
I mean, we want to make it in English, of course, with English subtitles.
Yeah.
The whole interview were mostly recorded in English and Spanish.
Yes.
But so we in each country that we will be able to stream in, we wanted to do subtitles for the country, but definitely like in Spanish, in Portuguese, and English.
Okay, well, I'm okay with the English and the Spanish. I might struggle with the Portuguese. I think that's fabulous, absolutely amazing. So we need to look out for it from April, and you'll let me know so that I can talk about it. Perfect. Okay, so to finish up, are there any last tips that you can give to women entrepreneurs that you think will help them progress more smoothly?
Start it.